Hi, my name is Katie. I am starting a YouTube channel about my experience being on Ozempic with PCOS. I want this to be like a crash course in what PCOS is, what side effects there are, what you can expect, what treatments there are, all of that type of stuff. So today is my PCOS crash course. I spent some time writing this out and making sure to fact check everything. So links to studies and articles and journals and all of that will be in the description box. But this is not supposed to be a video about my opinions. This is supposed to be a video about facts. Don't know what's happening here. I first and foremost want to say I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I've just struggled with PCOS for basically my entire life at this point, and I've learned a lot, and I'm finally getting my symptoms managed and under control. And I just want my story to be like a cautionary tale, I guess. I want other people to feel supported and helped because it is really hard when you're going through getting diagnosed and stuff like that. So, the definition of PCOS, in case you didn't know, it stands for polycystic ovary syndrome. It's a hormonal disorder that affects people with ovaries. It involves the overproduction of androgens, which is like testosterone, which can lead to a variety of symptoms like irregular periods, excessive hair growth, acne, and cysts on the ovaries. PCOS can also impact fertility. So, the first thing that I want to say about like all of the symptoms of PCOS is that it is different for everybody. Some people don't know that they have it until they're trying to get pregnant and they are struggling. Some people have like only the acne and the hair growth, but no cysts on the ovaries. For me, I don't really get the hair growth. I will get like the occasional peach fuzz, but I've seen so many people with ovaries who have this issue and they just get like the 5 o'clock shadows, and it's just like they have to shave daily, and I don't have that, so I don't think my peach fuzz is part of PCOS. I get regular periods. I get acne, but again, it's not that bad. So let's see, prevalence. PCOS affects approximately 1 in every 10 people assigned female at birth. It is one of the most common reproductive disorders. I actually believe that it's more prevalent than every 1 in 10 people, but like I said, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a scientist, so that's just my opinion based on the people that I talk to. And I could go on a 20-minute rant right now about how prevalent it is and how understudied it is despite being one of the most common reproductive disorders, but that's for another video. So, studies suggest that PCOS runs in families. If a close relative has it, you are at a risk of developing it. There is no gene that has been discovered that is like the PCOS gene. It's just like if you have it, your mom might have it, your grandma might have it. I have people on both sides of my family, my mom's side and my dad's side, who have it. I believe that it is genetic just based on my own experience, but there has not been a gene that has been discovered that is the PCOS gene. And if there was, I want it taken out of my body and flushed down a toilet. So, hormonal imbalance. The body produces higher levels of androgen, which can interfere with ovulation, leading to irregular periods and infertility. Obviously, if your hormones are out of whack, you might develop PCOS just from a hormonal imbalance. But again, they don't know what imbalance causes PCOS. Insulin resistance. So many people with PCOS have insulin resistance. I am one of them, which means their body can't use insulin efficiently, leading to higher blood sugar levels and increased androgen production. So I have insulin resistance, and I was on metformin for it for a long time, but I was not on the therapeutic dose of metformin. There is a study that came out, I don't know how recently, but the therapeutic dose of metformin is actually 1,500 milligrams, and I was only on 500 at the time. And so once I actually got to the right dose of metformin, I started to feel a lot better. So discuss with your healthcare provider. It can be a really, really beneficial treatment for people who have insulin resistance with their PCOS. And I would go as far to say is that most people with PCOS have insulin resistance. Diet, lifestyle, and stress can exacerbate the condition, contributing to its symptoms. But let's go into the symptoms a little bit more. A lack of ovulation is common in people with PCOS. So that means that your ovaries aren't releasing eggs regularly, leading to fewer or missed periods. Some may experience very long or very short cycles or no periods at all. So I am lucky because I got all of that, the full circle of that. I would have periods that would last for 90 days. I would go 90 days without a period. I would bleed for like, I want to say an entire year. I don't have it documented in front of me. I just got done bleeding for 3 months. I missed so many periods that I would go and get blood tests done, make sure that I was not pregnant because I was convinced that I was. My periods are still not normal despite the fact that my symptoms are mostly managed, but they are much better. Another thing is painful periods. So it could be endometriosis if you're having extremely painful periods. I do not have endometriosis, but I get periods so painful that I will faint, I will throw up, I will just get lightheaded. I bleed through one tampon in like 45 minutes. One time we went camping and I was wearing like 5 pairs of pants and I bled through all 5 during the night because it was cold, not because I didn't have a tampon or anything. So it can lead to really painful periods when you have them. I have a prescription medication for pain relief that I never take because I'm a parent and it knocks me out when I take this medicine. But if you are able to, then that's what I would recommend for the extremely painful periods until you can get your symptoms under control. It is just too painful to like coexist with everyday life, especially if you have a job or you're a full-time parent or whatever. It's just impossible to go about day-to-day life when your period is that painful. Elevated levels of testosterone or just male hormones, androgens, can cause symptoms such as hirsutism, which I may or may not be pronouncing correctly, but that is the excess hair growth on the face, chest, back, and abdomen. When I was going through my diagnosis journey, my pediatrician told me that I couldn't possibly have PCOS despite having irregular periods and cysts on my ovaries because I didn't have hairy nipples. Male pattern baldness, so thinning or loss of hair on the scalp. That is something that I struggle with. It's really fun. I'm not on any medication for it. I do rosemary oil and I really think that it's working because it's not falling out. Like when I used to do that, it would be a clump of hair. Now I have like a singular hair that fell out, and that is so much better than it was. It was so bad. You could see like right here, you could see my scalp. Now I have all this like weird little baby hair growth that's coming in. If I could grab it, that'd be cool. And things are getting better for me, so don't give up. Oily skin and acne, especially on the face, back, and chest. So I get hormonal acne like right around when I'm having my period. I will get like right on the chin, sometimes one on the forehead, but I don't think that I get it nearly as bad as a lot of people with PCOS do. I've seen so many photos of people with cystic acne and, you know, needing to get on medication and things like that. That's not something that I have personal experience with, but it is something that I've talked to people about, and it just seems like awful and debilitating. I don't have any advice for it other than birth control can help. But we'll get into the birth control thing later. Okay, my child just came inside, so you might hear her a little bit. Ovarian cysts. Many individuals with PCOS have cysts on their ovaries. A cyst is a small, fluid-filled sac that can cause discomfort. Important to note, not everyone with PCOS will have cysts, and not everyone with cysts will have PCOS. When I was first going through my diagnosis, the reason why the words PCOS came up was because I had a cyst rupture and I went to the ER. They thought it was my appendix. They found 3 on one ovary and like 4 on the other, something of around those numbers. And that's when the word polycystic was first introduced to me. Now we know that I definitely had PCOS back then, but there was not, like, no testing got done back then. My pediatrician just was not informed on the condition, which we could get into that too, how uninformed some doctors are. But weight gain. So that's a fun one for a lot of people, I know. Insulin resistance and hormonal imbalances can lead to weight gain, particularly around the abdomen. It can also make it challenging to lose weight. So I have experience with both of those things. It is impossible for me to lose weight without medical intervention, and I gained 80 pounds within a year when I turned 19. I tried many different diets. I bought cookbooks specifically made for people with PCOS, written by doctors. I was on Metformin, although it was the wrong dose. Now I am on semaglutide. I don't want to sound like I'm pushing it on people or that they're like paying me to say this, but it has really been life-changing for me, and I would love to do just a video on the way that it's affected me. I did a video on side effects. I did not do a video on how it affects me. Sorry, my cat's about to knock over. Caught it again. Wegovy, semaglutide has completely changed my life. I would go as far to say that it has like saved my life. It's brought me back to life. But that's for, maybe I'll do that next week, like how it has changed my life and made me, I mean, I'm 65 pounds down as of today. So that's crazy. Anyway, I did gain 80 pounds in high school though, and it was rapid, and I couldn't do anything to stop it. And I did Whole30, I did gluten-free and dairy-free, I did keto, I did Atkins, and I did paleo. And I would lose the same, 5 to 10 pounds and then gain it back and then lose it and then gain it back and then lose it. And I was also exercising way harder than I do now. So it is, for me, impossible. Like, there's no way. And I know that I'm not the only one. I know that if you found this video, you might not be at your happiest and most comfortable with your body. And there is hope. Like, I truly thought that I was going to die hating my body. And we're getting there. We're getting into a place where it's not hate so much as a, I don't know what word to use here. That being said, it is a common myth that you have to be overweight to have PCOS, and if you're not overweight, you can't possibly have it. That is not true. You can have PCOS and be lean and underweight even. This is another word that I can't pronounce. Here it is. Acanthosis nigricans. Those are dark patches of skin often found in the neck, armpits, and groin, and this is linked to insulin resistance. I personally don't struggle with this. I have many other skin issues because I'm allergic to everything. So PCOS is one of the leading causes of infertility, not to be confused with sterilization. If you have PCOS, you're not sterile. You could have infertility, but you're not sterile. I was told that I was essentially sterile, and I ended up pregnant 4 months later, so I just want to put that out there. If you're not trying to get pregnant right now, there is the possibility, because you do ovulate, it's just not regular. People with PCOS may not ovulate regularly. Conception can become difficult. However, many people with PCOS can still conceive, sometimes with treatment. Diagnosis. So this is called the Rotterdam criteria. My newest healthcare provider, who I love, is the one who introduced me to that phrase. This is the most widely used criteria for diagnosing PCOS, and it includes 3 things. You need to have 2 of the 3 to get diagnosed. Number 1 is irregular or absent periods or lack of ovulation. So there's 1 for me. Number 2 is elevated androgen levels causing symptoms like acne, hirsutism, or scalp hair thinning. That's 2. And polycystic ovaries visible on an ultrasound. That's 3. So I'm the lucky one that has all 3. I don't have the hirsutism, but I do have the thinning scalp. So there are tests that can be done. You can get blood tests done to measure your hormones, such as testosterone, LH, FSH, and insulin. And you can get an ultrasound on your ovaries that may reveal small cysts, which are often a sign of PCOS. Causes and risk factors. So let's get into that. Having a family history of PCOS increases your chances of developing it. Researchers are exploring the genetic factors that make someone more susceptible to the condition. So insulin regulates your blood sugar, as I'm sure, I feel like most people know that, but I grew up with a diabetic grandfather, so I knew about insulin before I knew many other things. But people with PCOS often have insulin resistance, which means your body produces too much insulin to compensate for your body not producing it properly. It can increase your androgen levels and worsen your symptoms like weight gain, especially. That was what I struggled with the most, and hair growth and acne. Inflammation is another one. Personal story, I have always gotten blood work done, and it always comes back high for inflammatory markers, such as auto-neutrophils. I don't know what any of these are except for white blood count. My white blood count was always like a little bit high. Platelet count was high, and when I finally went to a doctor who specialized in this, he said, well, it sounds like you have PCOS. And I'm like, you don't say, because I was diagnosed with that. Chronic inflammation can actually lead to higher levels of androgen production. It's so hard for me to say the word androgen, which may worsen your PCOS symptoms. So the good news for me, this is another reason why Wegovy has been life-changing. All of that blood work came back normal last time that I got blood work done, for the first time in like 10 years. And my doctor sat me down and went through all the blood work with me and like showed me the last time that your white blood count at least was normal was like 10 years ago. So I'm finally in a place where things are getting managed and better, but I definitely struggled with chronic inflammation, and I tried everything under the sun to lower that inflammation, and nothing worked until I got on medication. So there are a lot of, this is another like side rant. I have ADHD too, can you tell? You see influencers or people talking about PCOS, usually they're trying to sell you a supplement or a book or something like that. I've tried all those supplements and books and none of them worked for me. All kinds of anti-inflammatory vitamins. I was putting like tons of ginger and stuff in my food, turmeric, all of that stuff. And no matter how healthy and strict my diet got, my periods and my life was just like not good. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. You know, some people need medication and that's okay. Like, it's okay. It's something that I've had to like deal with. Like, the stigma around Wegovy and Ozempic is, you know, astonishing. Management and treatment. So I'm gonna go into the like holistic ones first, and then I will talk about medication. First and foremost, diet. Anti-inflammatory diet can reduce insulin resistance and weight. Focus on low glycemic foods, so you're gonna want to look up the glycemic index and eat the foods that are low on that scale. Fiber-rich foods like whole grains, vegetables, and legumes, healthy fats, avocados, olive oil, and nuts, and reduced processed foods and refined sugars. So again, I was already doing all of that when I got on my shot, Ozempic, Wegovy, whatever. And the reason why I think I responded to the very first dose of the medication is because I was already doing all of this. I was already eating very healthy. Very rarely would I ever like go out and get fast food or like even eat ice cream, or like I would avoid cake at birthday parties and all of that. So for me, I needed the extra little push to get my insulin to go down a little bit. You've already changed your diet for a significant amount of time, like 3 months-ish, because it can take a while for your body to adjust. I would recommend looking into some other form of intervention. But exercise! So exercise is a fun one, because if you have inflammatory issues in your body and you exercise super duper hard, that will raise your inflammation in your body and actually can make things worse for you. But regular exercise still benefits outweigh the risk, I believe. I would recommend to somebody with PCOS to start off with just walking, like an extra 30 minutes out of the day. Right now, I try to do like 10 minutes after meals, and then if I haven't hit my 10,000 steps in the day, I will finish it off on the walking pad. But I do lots of hikes now. I don't do anything super duper strenuous. Right now, I'm not trying to build muscle, so I'm not lifting anything except for my dog and my cats and my child. I'm trying to do it without increasing cortisol, so walking is probably the best way to do that. I'm also not a personal trainer, so again, I could be wrong there. Stress management. So this one's big because whenever I'm stressed, I notice my symptoms increase like tenfold. Every time that I've had a plateau on Wegovy, it's been because I'm stressed about something. Some things that you can do are yoga, meditation, deep breathing, and other mindfulness practices. I like to journal, and I like to have self-care days. So for me, that usually includes like a bath or just alone time. I personally really thrive with some alone time. I'm a full-time parent, so it very rarely happens. But whenever I'm feeling that like crash out happening, I will take some time for myself. So medications. So the first thing that they will probably tell you you need to take if you have been recently diagnosed with PCOS is birth control. That does help. It helps manage symptoms. It does not like cure PCOS. It can regulate your periods, it can reduce your androgen levels, and it can help manage symptoms like acne and excess hair growth. Birth control for me messes me up so bad. I am currently on it, but it makes my periods like worse. But I'm on it right now because you can't get pregnant on Wegovy, and I don't want to risk it at this moment in time, so I'm on birth control. I was told that I would need fertility medication and all of that to get pregnant, and I didn't know the difference between infertile and sterile. So I got off birth control to see how my body would do because I'd been struggling on, tried every birth control under the sun, except for Nexplanon, and nothing was working to help with the heavy, painful periods. So I got off of it to see if I could try and manage it on my own, and got pregnant pretty much right away. It can help. Some people swear by it. Like most PCOS influencers tell you you don't need it. I'm not going to say that you don't need it. I'm also not an influencer. Metformin, commonly prescribed for insulin resistance. So that was the second thing that I got on when I first got diagnosed with insulin resistance. That's what I was prescribed. It was just too low of a dose to do anything. Metformin sucks. It makes you shit. It makes you poop. I have to take it before bed now, but when I was taking 2,000 milligrams a day, I would take 1,000 in the morning and 1,000 at night. I would skip it in the morning if I had to be anywhere, and then take it when I got home, because you have to be close to a toilet. Some people swear by the extended release metformin. Apparently that helps with the diarrhea. I personally never got on that one, so I don't know, but that is an option if you're on metformin and you're struggling with the shits. Try the extended release. Maybe that would help you. I'm only on 500 milligrams right now because I'm starting back up on metformin after being off of it for a couple of months. I don't know how long. But, and I'm not having the issues anymore, so I don't know what that's about. High androgens, such as, again, not going to pronounce this right, I think it's spironolactone. And that is another medication that you cannot get pregnant while you're taking it, so they'll probably make you get on birth control anyway, or sign a paper saying that you won't get pregnant. Blocks the effects of the male hormones. My healthcare provider was like explaining it to me like you pee out all the hormones. It's like a diuretic. I don't know if that's correct or not, but that's what I was told. It can help with the acne and the hair growth. Fertility treatments. For those looking to conceive, medications like Clomid or Letrozole are often used to stimulate ovulation. So those are two things. I have zero experience with either of those, but there are fertility treatments to help you ovulate. Semaglutide, which is Ozempic and Wegovy. That is what I'm on right now. I'm on Wegovy. I've been on it for almost a year now. It's currently March. April 12th will be a year, and I've lost 65 pounds. I've had a few plateaus and a few bumps in the road and things like that. Side effects at first were really hard, but now they're much more manageable. And I really do believe that it's changed my life for the better. Hair removal methods. So I'm sure if you have this hair growth, you already know about all of these, but there's laser hair removal, which is a long-term solution to reduce excess hair. Electrolysis, which destroys hair follicles permanently, which I would like to do just like so I never have to shave again, but I'm sure it's like $1 million. Shaving, waxing, and tweezing, obviously. Surgery. So there's this thing called ovarian drilling, which sounds terrifying, and it's not a normal course of treatment. I think it's pretty rare that they do this, but it's small holes made in the ovaries to reduce androgen levels, which can allegedly improve ovulation and fertility. I don't know enough about this to really go in on it, but I don't think they really do it often anymore. Long-term health risks of PCOS include type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. The combination of insulin resistance and weight gain makes it crucial to monitor these factors. That's how I got approved for Wegovy. When you're not ovulating regularly, or you're not shedding the lining of your uterus regularly, that can lead to endometrial cancer, which is super scary. The lining of the uterus becomes thickened from unopposed action of estrogen, and without regular shedding through menstruation, it can lead to cancerous changes. That's why even if you're on birth control, you're not ovulating, you are supposed to take the placebo week, the sugar pills, at least every 3 or 4 months, just to make sure that you can get a good shed through your uterus. That's why birth control is kind of important, even if I kind of hate it. It does. I am having a monthly period right now. Sleep apnea. So PCOS is actually associated with an increased risk of obstructive sleep apnea, particularly in people who are overweight or obese, and this can disrupt your sleep, affecting overall health and quality of life. I do not personally believe that I suffer with this, but I've seen a person who do. So definitely go get checked out. Stay on top of your health. You are your biggest advocate. Emotional and mental health. This one's important to me because I struggled for a really long time. If you are struggling with anxiety and depression and you have polycystic ovary syndrome, or you don't, you should definitely get help. I had to get on medication for mine and it saved my life more than once. So I'm currently living without it, but if I need to, I would happily go back on it again. There is no shame in getting help. I also go to therapy, and that's how I manage it now. Lately, I haven't been having as many like depressive episodes or anything like that, so that's good. But if I was, I would happily get back on medication. There's no shame. Like, it does help, and there's no shame in that. Your body image greatly affects your mental health. I am a walking testament of that. Now that my body image is better, I feel like my life is better, but really my life is exactly the same. I just feel better about myself. Get yourself a self-care journal, do self-care, do things that make you feel good, and get help if you need it. With PCOS may have a higher risk of miscarriage, gestational diabetes, and preeclampsia during pregnancy. Managing insulin and staying under a doctor's care is important during this time. So I got lucky and I had none of those problems during pregnancy. I was very terrified for like the entire thing. I got lucky. I didn't get gestational diabetes, which was crazy. My numbers were like 1 point below though, so I still kind of watched what I ate and just, talk about some holistic therapies really quick. Apparently some people find relief from acupuncture. Never tried it, would be happy to try it. Herbal supplements like inositol and ginger and things like that. I've heard a lot of good things about inositol and berberine from people. I'm in a lot of like PCOS groups on Facebook, and I'm in a PCOS support group on Reddit as well, and people talk very highly about inositol and berberine. I did inositol for a while, and I was having regular periods while I was on it, but I don't recall if it helped me lose weight or anything like that, but I do believe it helped regulate my cycle a little bit. Here are my tips to you if you are working on getting diagnosed, because it is difficult to get diagnosed. At least it was for me. If you're getting diagnosed on your first try, good for you, man, because I could not do that. Keep a symptom journal to track your cycle, mood changes, acne, any other symptoms. This can help, show it to your healthcare provider and they can see like there's something clearly going on here. If you have the excess hair growth and the skin changes and things like that, take photos, put dates on your photos. Unfortunately, you have to be your own advocate, and that is something that I struggle with because I'm such a people pleaser. If I'm having issues with a doctor or healthcare provider, I refuse to tell them. I had one doctor that I went to that wrote down the letters PCOS and was like, what is that? I'm a big advocate for doctor shopping. If you have one, you don't like them, drop them, move on to the next. I know it's hard. I know it's a lot of work. I know it's a lot of mental stress, but that is how I got the doctor that I have today. Well, actually it's not, because that was just happenstance. But that is how I found my primary care practitioner that I have today. I feel very happy with my healthcare team right now. It took years and years and years to get there, but it's hard. It's hard as a woman to get anybody to listen to you. PCOS can be manageable with the right approach. For me, it took many, many, many different approaches until I got to a place where I feel like it's managed. You can still live happy and healthy and, do all of the things that you want to do, even if you have PCOS. So that's my little boot camp, my little crash course on what it is, what it does to you, and the treatments and all of that. Like I said, the description will have all of the sources and articles and links to some help that you could get. I think my next video is going to be about how exactly Wegovy has changed my life. I have been filming since day one of doing my first shot. I actually have been filming since I got the phone call that I was approved for Wegovy. So I have months and months and months of footage that I want to edit together and get out there eventually. I just kind of want to wait until I feel like my journey is completed and I'm at my goal weight and all of that before I release it. But it's already pretty long, so it's gonna be probably 2 to 4 parts because I don't want to put a 3-hour video out on YouTube. And I explain a lot of how it's been life-changing. There's a little bit of me crying. I'll probably cry if I start talking about it because it's that life-changing that it makes me emotional. I will be back next week, and I hope that you are having success and that you have a good support system and that you are getting your symptoms managed and that you're feeling optimistic for the future and all of those things. And if you found me, please subscribe. I'm not planning on going anywhere, so bye!